There he is.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm running late because I'm not smart enough to run these things.
You're all right. Hold on one second. I believe we're good. Just want to make sure.
Your IT person had to hook you up, huh?
Yeah, I'm running late because I'm not smart enough to run these things.
There we go.
This cat is so spoiled.
All right. I think we're good to go.
Well, call the meeting to order. Jennifer has the roll call, I believe.
Yep, got everyone.
Approval of the agenda.
No amendments this month on anything.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move.
I second.
Molly moved, Marilyn second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, say nay. Agenda is approved. Approval of minutes of previous meeting.
Those should have been included in that stuff I sent out. And then, of course, Jennifer sent those out after the last meeting. So I think everybody's probably had a good chance to look at them.
Anybody want to move to approve that?
It's your turn, Marilyn.
Okay, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? Minutes are approved. Review of financial information.
All right, go ahead and pull this up. Pull up the bills. All right, can everybody see those?
Yep.
All right, just go through these here quick. I don't think we had a ton on here that was out of the ordinary.
I'm just seeing your screen. I'm not actually seeing the bills yet.
Oh.
Yeah, same here, but I have them on the other computer.
Yeah, it's just showing your files.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on, let me try that again. There we go. All right, that better?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so few things here. Builder's First Source, a lot of that was for, or I guess all of that was for the deck replacement at Sweet Point, following the derecho. Let's see here. CID was our last order for cleaning supplies and sanitary supplies. Farley is going to be some tire repairs. John Deere Financial is going to be, that's our Tyson's account over in Ames. A lot of us get our clothing from there, which I think we all did at the same time this year. I think we were, after the derecho, we were all in need of some new clothing, so work clothes. So. Martin Oil Wholesale, fuel for Don Williams. Anything else in your Perkins Electric? We had him fix a light at Grants Woods, our the photo sensor burnout. He came over and helped us with that. R&R products and R&W, we probably see a couple of these. That's all going to be mower maintenance. Roger usually gets that stuff ordered this time of year to start plugging away on some of that stuff. Same with Turf Works, mower parts and maintenance. Walter Sanitary looks a little high this month because we didn't get a bill in time for last month, but we have both of those. So that's for 2 months. Those will kind of taper off here as we won't have any trash for the camping season. Ziegler Cat, again, maintenance. That's going to be filters and elements and things like that. Dynamic Distribution. ordered and have received our disc golf baskets. We want dynamic discs on those since we did get the free basket through them, and the price was pretty comparable to the others. So yeah, any questions on any of those?
Nope.
Looks good.
Okay, and then with the monthly financials, I'll kind of break all that down. I guess not by month, but I have that as part of our operations recap as far as the revenue that we brought in there. So as long as nobody has any questions on any of that, I think we're good to move along.
Is there a motion to approve the bills?
I'll
So
to
move.
I'll
Oh,
second. I don't care.
I don't care either.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Bills are approved.
And then for those again this month, if a couple of you wouldn't mind running up to the courthouse tomorrow and signing those, would a couple of you be available to do that?
I'm headed that way tomorrow.
Anybody else? I could do it tomorrow, but I have to be in AIM. Oh, you can too? Okay, you
Yep,
two do
I
it.
can do it.
You two do it this time, then. That's fine.
Where is it that we go?
Just stop in the auditor's office. They'll know you're coming.
Anytime?
Anytime. Yep. They'll have them there ready for you guys to sign. They're actually sending all of them out tomorrow because Wednesday's the holiday on Wednesday, but she said that it's not a big deal. You guys can stop in and sign. So, and then with that also, I'm still talking with the supervisors since they're not meeting for a full meeting this week. They tabled until next week their decision on possibly paying off the tractor. We did get the bill for that this month, and I have it ready. I just haven't submitted it yet in case they were to pay it off, then we wouldn't have to. So, but if for some reason they decide not to, I may have to track a couple of you guys down to get that paid. So,
Okay.
but I do know I've been kind of back and forth with Bill, and he's supportive of it, and I think the rest are. It's just a matter of everything working out with the books and stuff. So, should know more next week. So.
Ready to move on to the update on the ratio?
Yep. Again, not a ton to update there. Just wanted to let you guys know that I am working with FEMA. We had our recovery scoping meeting here. Oh, I believe it would have been the beginning of last month. They just kind of outlined what they need, what we have to submit. The gal I'm working with's really good. A lot of that stuff you have to upload to their portal, and if you don't do things right, then they kick it back to you. So she's just having me submit everything to her, and then she's uploading it to the portal, so everything's going how it needs to go. So that's nice. I've been out last couple weeks, a few hours a day here and there doing GPSing all of the points along the High Trestle Trail, which was very time consuming if you guys have been out on the trail lately. But we got all the debris piles located, any of that stuff, GPS, so that way pictures taken, so that way we have documentation of all that too. So, but yeah, no, I just wanted to kind of update you. I'll probably continue to update you until we're done working with FEMA, just in case there is anything I need from you guys. But yep, again, just working with them, trying to get everything documented. And then again, we plan on getting back out on the trail here in the next month or so, probably start working on that to get all those debris piles picked up now that the leaves have dropped, and we can kind of see things a little bit better and have access to things a little bit better. So any questions on that?
Were you still looking into a bucket truck?
Yeah. We were actually looking, Blaine, I know he's been kind of on the hunt looking for something. On the downside of that, our little utility tractor, our little Massey Ferguson that we've had for years, I think finally went kaput on us. And we're kind of deciding on whether or not what makes more sense, what we need more right now as far as equipment goes. So since some of money could potentially be freed up. So we're kind of do we need a utility tractor right now? Or I mean, obviously we need a bucket truck. We need both, but it's just kind of what we need right now. What's priority? So have you found anything floating around out there?
I just heard something, but I didn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was at the truck repair place, and I don't even know who the guy was, but obviously the owner of the truck place would. He said he bought a bucket truck. He doesn't need it, but he bought it just so that there isn't another one in the area, so he's not competing against somebody else.
Hmm.
And it sounds like the boom part of it's good, but the truck might not be the best. But
Okay.
I mean, if it's runnable and decent mechanically, who cares what it looks like?
Yeah, we don't care what it looks like. Yeah, as long as it works and safe and everything. But
if you wanted me to run it down and just get some more information on it to see if he's interested in selling it.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, just you can give me a shout or email me and let me know what they're thinking for it. Okay. And that's the thing. It's just you look at them, and like I said, I'd like to get something that's under that weight limit, so we don't have to have somebody with a CDL operating it. Right now, we have one of us with a CDL. Not to say we couldn't, but it'd just be nice, if somebody needed it quick to run out, you wouldn't have to have a CDL to operate it. And then, do you know what size it is? Is it a bigger one?
No, I didn't want to ask too much because I didn't, know what you were thinking or if you had found one or.
Sure.
So I just didn't say anything.
Yeah. If you want to find out any more information, that'd be great.
Okay.
Definitely. Again, it's kind of one of those things we won't use all the time, but that I could see us using quite a bit more, I guess, than a little utility tractor. The John Deere that we purchased a couple of years ago, obviously it's able to do anything that little one could. It's just as far as mobility and getting around, obviously a little utility tractor would be nice to have at some point, but yeah, no, that'd be great if you could find out on that. And then, a utility tractor, small, something small. If you see anything like that floating around too, we did get a hold of Moss Brothers. They were going to start looking in, see if they had anything used floating around and give us some quotes on new too, just so we have an idea of what it would cost to replace it. But yeah, no, that'd be great. I'd appreciate that.
Okay, I'll see what I can find out.
Okay.
Boone County Trails Advisory Committee update.
All right, a couple things to update on that. Start with the bad news first. I don't know that it's bad or what we already kind of knew going into this, but I met with Rich Volker from Snyder and Associates and Lisa Hine and Andrea Bolton from INHF out at the 4-H property, the former 4-H property, Clover Woods, here like the week before last, to just kind of get an idea of a potential alignment through that property. And we wanted to kind of meet with them just to say, hey, this is basically our last option. Is it something you guys would be, accommodating to? Yes, no, maybe. So we went out there and the folks from Snyder put together kind of a proposed alignment of what we could potentially do through that property. The biggest challenge is once you get in the property, how do you get out? Because you have the Des Moines River Valley to the west, and then you have Richardson Creek, which is a very, very deep draw down in the bottom on the east side of the property. So we kind of Rich showed them a map of what we were talking about, and we attempted to walk the route. We got about 200 yards, and the damage from the derecho there is just, it's insane. I mean, it's any woodland, if you guys have been out, I'm sure you've noticed it's just like walking through a rat's nest right now. It's pretty woolly out there. And we kind of got to a point where it was, we could head down this ravine. At that point, Lisa basically stopped and just said, hey, I don't want to, if you guys want to keep walking it, we can, but she didn't think, without Joe being there, Joe McGovern, who's the executive director of INHF, she thought that the route that we had chosen, there was probably no way that he was going to go for that, as well as with the DNR being involved, wildlife potentially, or in the process of purchasing some of that, there's no way they were going to go through with that. So We kind of checked that off the table. There is some land to the north of the park proper, I guess you would say, that they they had purchased following the purchase of the big property, so they could gain access to part of that. And I don't know exactly how the transaction went, but there is some potential there. The only kicker there is there's a landowner to the south east of that route that we could potentially take. And again, if they're not willing, we're at kind of a dead end there. So we've got a trails meeting again, not this Thursday, but next Thursday. So we'll kind of let the committee know that, that was one of our priorities, was to find out if that was even, something that was going to work out. Sounding more and more like it's not. So we'll take it from there, I guess. But on the good news, we did submit requests through the foundation, the Boone County Conservation Foundation, for some grant funding for the phase 1 project from High Trestle Trail to Sweet Point. Thankfully, they were receptive to that, and they awarded us $200,000 over the next 4 years for construction for that project, and then another $60,000 for the Trails Committee doing the studies and paying Snyder and things like that. So that's fantastic. That's puts us well on our way to that portion, at least getting construction or design started on that portion, and hopefully construction here in the next year or two. So just wanted to give a shout out to the Leonard Good Trust and Al, thank you, and the other members on there. I've planning on writing a nice thank you letter on behalf of the foundation for that too. So
Caught us at a weak moment.
Caught us at a weak moment, yeah. Well, no, I know that trust, they dole out a lot of money for a lot of good causes, and we're just thankful that they thought this was something worth spending money on. So we'll keep tracking down money. It said we're still waiting on results from the Fed Rec Trails grant that we put out here a couple months ago, but I think that should be back here. I think by this week, maybe. I could be wrong on that, but I know it's supposed to be sometime early this month. So yeah, other than that, I don't have a lot to update on the Trails Advisory Committee. Again, we meet a week from Thursday, so we'll probably know a little bit more at our next meeting, where we stand and where we move following the 4-H camp, the Clover Woods decision. So any questions on any of that? All right.
Are we ready to move to new business?
Yep, I think so.
Surplus auction?
Yeah, so here, well, I guess when I started with the county, when I was working as operations manager, we started kind of taking a lot of the equipment that we had and phasing a lot of the old equipment out and getting some new updated stuff. So we have a lot of that old equipment, even stuff, from long before I was there. We've kind of got a section of two of our buildings full of a bunch of stuff that we don't need anymore. So we've been throwing around the idea of having an auction. I think in the past they've just done a sealed bid auction out at on site, just advertised in the papers. Well, since then we've moved pretty far in the world of auctioneering. Now there's a ton of different outlets out there where you can do a lot of the stuff online. So you got a broader base as far as the people that you're, broader exposure to folks, rather than just being advertised within the county. You have this thing, I think, is nationwide. Folks can bid online. They can, any of their purchases, they can pick up, have sent. A lot of our stuff, obviously, they'd have to pick up. So, but I was actually working with Katie on this a little bit to try to figure out who we go with. And I got an email from a guy, just kind of out of the blue, from Gov Deals. And I'll pop that up and screen share what I have from him. Okay, if I can find it here. All right. All right. So, can you guys see my screen there?
Yep.
Yep.
So, gentleman's name is Colin Bauer from Gov Deals. Talked with him a little bit after getting the email about how they work with government entities. That's pretty much what they do, I guess, hence the Gov Deals in their website. They work, he mentioned to me that they did work with a number of, they've worked with a number of other county conservation boards, the Iowa DNR, a lot of the different cities, some even here in Boone County for sales on things. So kind of called him on the phone, chatted with him a little bit about how it all works. Sounds like, again, they've worked with a lot of government entities in the past, so it shouldn't be a huge deal there getting set up. They do offer a couple different types of the ways they handle the money. They offer a way where we collect the money ourselves, and that'd be either through, I'm guessing, through an online bank account, checks, money orders, and things like that. Or you can have them collect the money and they send you a check. So just kind of want to run that by with you guys. He said a lot of government entities they work with they collect the money. Basically what they do is they charge an additional fee for selling on their site, and then they basically roll that over to the buyer, which he said at first, when they first kind of started launching it, people were a little apprehensive about that because they didn't want to pay that extra 12.5%. But he said now that folks are more used to it, they're not really that concerned with paying that extra on top of it. Just kind of part of the deal. So that was my kind of, the more I read into it, I guess that would probably be the way I would go as far as the sign up form. We'd let them collect the money and then they just cut us a check basically once we have what they sold, once they have the money from the items that we sold. I asked him too about timeline. If these things, can they be on there forever? Is there, is it a 2-week auction, 3-week auction? He said it just varies. He said a lot of times they'll put them on the initial auction. If something doesn't sell, they can go back on. A lot of times he said usually what happens if they don't sell, usually because they have a reserve that's set too high to where people, obviously they don't want to pay that, so they'll reduce the reserve on it. A lot of the stuff that we have is going to be just kind of odds and ends. There are going to be some tools, some old chainsaws and old hand tools and things like that, electrical tools. But again, he said he didn't think we'd have a problem selling that stuff, especially if there's no reserve on it. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of run that by you guys. Again, like I said in the past, I know they've done just kind of the sealed bid auctions just here local. I just thought this might be a better way to, I guess, expand out, get more people interested, and possibly get rid of more of this stuff so we don't just have to throw a lot of it away, or salvage a lot of it. You guys have any input on that or any experience with online auctions yourselves?
Done online auctions, but I've seen the government deals, but haven't done anything on them.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't either. Like I said, I'd seen them too. I have never bid or done anything. I know the auction service we did on through when we bidded on some things at Clover Woods.
Yeah.
I thought about checking in with them too and seeing what they offer. Again, it doesn't sound like there's really any fees. It's just basically, there would be if we didn't pass it on the fees for selling onto the seller. But again, I don't see a problem with doing that way. We're not having to pay anything on this, and we get a little bit better exposure. So yeah, I was going to check with the folks that did the Clover Woods auction and maybe one more and just kind of see what they offer. But again, I didn't think you guys would have an issue. I just wanted to kind of let you know where we're at in the process of the auction, and this is kind of the way we're thinking about going. So anybody have any objections to that?
Do you know if
Sounds
there's
good.
an option for the bidder to do the pay it directly to you or pay the extra 5% to them? Or is it you have to pick one?
That's our that's our decision. Basically, it's one or the other. You can do, that's where you see that online sign up form. We can basically set it up for us to have them pay it, or we can have it set up where we we can have it set up to where they collect the money, or we can have it set up to where we collect the money. And it sounds like you would save a little bit more. The buyer would save a little bit more if we were to collect the money. But again, I don't know how that would work as far as if we can tell them, check or money order only, just because we don't really have a way set up to charge credit cards. We do for golf and our cabins and things like that, but it's quite a process to get that set up for other things too. So
My guess is that you're doing smaller items.
yeah, we don't have a lot of bigger equipment. The biggest thing I think that we would probably have, we've got a couple old 3-point tiller. I think we got an old 3-point tiller. We've got an old 3-point flail mower, but those would probably be the biggest. I guess our old dock, I thought about throwing that on there too. I don't know how the heck they're going to get it out of there, but yes, that's their problem once they buy it.
Yeah. I just thought for the fee that they're charging, I mean, if they pass it on to the buyer, people are used to the buyer's fees anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is on those on quite a bit, and it probably, if it's not a big item, then it's probably not worth your time trying to collect it.
Right, and that's kind of what I thought. And I think what you're getting at, yeah, if you have something, they buy it for $5, they have to pay 12% on that. Yeah, it's only, I can't do the math in my head, 50 cents, 50, 60 cents more. But yeah, I agree on a big item. If they were spending, hundreds or even thousands of dollars, that could definitely add up. But yeah, I honestly don't see anything that we have probably going for more than a couple $100 anyway. So yeah, I don't think it's that huge of a deal. But yeah, I agree. If we were selling a lot of, tractors and vehicles and things like that, that may be something that we'd want to take a little closer look at. But I think for what we have, I think we could pass it on, and I don't think it'd be a huge issue.
How do you get the word out about this thing?
This, basically what we can do, what they said that they do, the other government entities they deal with, they still have to advertise it locally, just like you would if you're going to advertise it in the paper. Basically, all we would do is just advertise it in all the local papers. We'd probably put something on our Facebook. Other than that, I think, and anybody who is a part of Gov Deals already, who's bought things off of here before, they get updates on any new auction.
Okay.
And when and if it's kind of neat too, if you go to their website, I might be able to do that here. Still screen share. Is my search coming up there? Is that what's showing?
Yeah.
Or is it still the email? Okay. So yeah, if you look through here, you can kind of see, they've got everything broken down by category too. So it's not even really just by auction. It's basically by what you want. So, if you come in here and.
So they keep a list of former purchasers, and then they can send them an email too or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think basically what it is there's it's got to sign in or register. Once you have a thing, they can sign up for updates and things like that. So anytime anything new pops up, it goes out to that huge email list. And
okay, that's what I was wondering about. That sounds good.
Yeah. Like I said, I think this way we're going to get a lot more exposure. We're not just going to have folks locally. And again, folks locally, obviously they can bid on it too, but all they have to do is basically just hop on here, set up an account, and bid on it just like they would, any other time. I guess it's not sealed bid, but
Are there any bucket trucks for sale on there?
I haven't looked.
I see 23 forklifts.
489 automobiles. I guess if we look through those. Yeah, I don't know what that would actually be under.
Yeah, I think that people like
tanks.
Thanks.
I think people prefer doing these types of auctions now. I know my son gets on these, so.
Yeah. Oh, not tanks. I was thinking like military tanks.
So was I.
No, they don't sell any of that on here. But yeah, no, you're right, Marilyn. I think that anymore, this is the way to go. And again, I think, a lot of this stuff, if it doesn't sell at auction, it just gets thrown away. So it's, I'd hate
for the we're trying to attract, this would be a good way to go.
Yeah. So, like I said, I'm going to check with a couple of those other services and see what I can find. But right now, I think we'll probably, regardless, we'll go with some sort of online platform. We'll start taking pictures. They said, unfortunately, with COVID, he said, usually he's like, we'll send somebody out. We'll take all the pictures for you, inventory everything. I'm like thinking, oh, great. That's awesome, you know? And then he said, well, but with COVID, they're not doing that right now. So they're kind of leaving that up to the sellers, which isn't a huge deal, you know, but yeah, so I think we're, like I said, been talking with Katie, we're going to start working on getting that stuff all inventoried and get pictures taken. So that way, when we figure something out, which way we want to go, all we'll have to do is upload that stuff and get her going. So.
Sounds good.
All right. That is all I have on that. Anybody have any other comments, questions?
We move on to the RFP for Grants Woods restroom facility.
Okay. All right. I'm going to pull a few things up here. Why is that not opening? Okay, there we go. All right. All right. Can you guys see that Word document?
Yep.
Okay. So, been kind of talking about this. Well, we've been talking about it for a long time, but we, last couple times we talked about putting out an RFP to hire a contractor to come in and oversee and take care of all the work that needs to be done pre-construction, and then as they're moving it in, and then post-construction. So I put together a little bit of a little RFP. Talked with a couple contractors I know, just asking, you know, what do we need to include in this thing? What do we need to get super detailed, not super detailed? Basically, what I got, they just want to know exactly what you want done. You know, you don't need to get into too much detail, because once you pick the final, the contractor, you know, you're going to go over all that stuff. You're going to do a detailed site visit and go over exactly what needs to be done. So I just basically went through and broke it down into, you know, the main items that need to be done, and I'll walk through that real quick. So Boone County Conservation Board is seeking quotes for a construction project at Grants Woods Park in Mattard, Iowa. We're working with Huff Cut Concrete, Inc. to purchase a precast concrete restroom facility, and are seeking a general contractor to implement the following construction and oversight of the installation of the precast building. Responsibility contractors are prepare and complete earthwork at the building site for the install of the concrete foundation for the precast building, as well as constructing a pad for the crane to set the building. Again, you'll notice a common theme here according to the specifications provided by Huff Cut, which I have included in there, the materials that I sent you to, and I can pull that stuff up too if needed. Work with Alliant to run electrical and rough in and install electrical service at the building. Work with Xenia Rural Water to run water lines and rough in and install water service at the building. Rough in a water line for a bottle filling station, which will be located on the exterior of the building, and then also a hydrant on the exterior of the building. Connect and rough in install drain lines according to specifications provided by Huff Cut. From building into existing septic system already on site. So that's pre-construction. That's kind of all the grading, dirt work, concrete, getting ready for that. So the construction would be construct a 24 foot 8 inch by 20 foot concrete foundation for the precast building, according to specifications provided by Huff Cut. Coordinate with electrician, plumber, and other subcontractors to rough and plumbing supply lines, waste, electrical, floor drains, plumbing, vent lines, according to Huff Cut. Coordinate with Huff Cut and delivery drivers to provide clear access for crane and semis prior to delivery of building. Oversee the installation of the building and provide technical assistance on site during installation. Complete the final on-site mechanical connections inside the building, including water supply line, wastewater, plumbing, vent lines, electrical connections to the service panel. Perform final maintenance on any of the other fixtures and fittings that may have loosened during shipping. Install bottle filling station and hydrant. Construction of a 5-foot sidewalk around perimeter of the building according to ADA standards. Complete a final grade around the building site. And then a lot of this other stuff. Quotes will be received by the Conservation Department office at Don Williams until 12 p.m. on Friday, January 1st. These dates I just kind of threw in there. These were just kind of the approximate dates I was thinking. Board will review the quotes on January 11th. Please use the attached quote sheet for submittal, but please include any supplemental information deemed necessary for the project. Conservation Board reserves the right to reject any or all proposals or to accept a proposal which is deemed to be in the best interest of the county. Thank you for your consideration. If you have any questions, please contact me at your convenience. So, again, not a ton of detail there, but enough to be able to get an accurate bid, I think. You guys see anything in here that needs to be included, taken out, altered, anything like that for folks that have looked at our RFPs before? I can pull up also the bid sheet. I don't know if that's gonna come up. I don't think I have that program. No, it's not. Can you guys pull that up? I think you need a publisher to pull it up. Project quote sheet. Basically, it's just, I don't even have a paper copy here. Just basically just showing, kind of breaking down or writing, breaking down materials from labor and things like that. That way, when they do submit it, we have all of that stuff right there in front of us. It's not a big complicated bid sheet that they sent us, which they can, obviously we want those too, but that way everything's broken down right there, cut and dry. We can take a look at it, kind of look through the actual quote to kind of see what they have in mind, and then, make a decision from there. So, and I can pop this up. Can you guys still see my screen?
Yeah.
The modular building?
No.
No? Okay, hold on one second. All right. So this was the new document they sent me. I did get a new updated quote. I believe there wasn't a lot of difference between the two. I can probably pull those up too. I think we're sitting at about $2,000 more than our quote from 2 years ago. So I was pretty surprised to see that prices haven't skyrocketed, considering prices for a lot of materials have skyrocketed, but concrete buildings are still about the same. So there was that bid for that. And again, that's for the building, delivery, and the crane rental. And that may be something too, we can talk with the contractor, whoever we decide to go with, if it's something that they can do cheaper. But again, Huff Cut, usually I think I'm assuming they hire their own drivers and things like that when they come to set these things. So they do have experience doing it, but there is the updated quote. Like I said, it's only a couple grand more than what we were quoted 2 years ago. So that was good to hear. This is just kind of more of the, how these things, start to finish, how these things go, I guess abbreviated. That's a type of that's a foundation that's going to be pretty much what we're going to have. You'll see all of the oh gosh, what am I looking for? Frost walls for the whole thing, and then you'll have all your utilities coming up through different locations in the building that'll all be roughed into once the building is set and complete. Keep scrolling down here. This kind of shows some of the mechanical connections on the inside that are already there, but basically, again, a lot of that stuff is just hooking up to what's already currently there. So there's a blueprint of the building. Again, that stuff's sent that stuff out to you. As far as the building that we're looking at, which is the sugar maple model. Little few more from the there you can kind of see once the building's set, how close your rough-in locations need to be within a few inches, or you won't be in good shape. So, and then this is about, like I said, the building comes in on 2 pieces. They come in, they set, do all the finish connections as far as like the connections between the 2 buildings. They come in, they do all that. So installation. So yeah, so that's basically all I have on that. And then I did have just a map here that I'll include in the bid packet, the specs. Yeah, other than that, it's all kind of stuff you guys have seen before, but just wanted to update you. And if you guys have any feedback on those RFPs, definitely let me know. Or on the RFP itself, definitely let me know. I'd take any input I can. This is the first one of these kind I think I've ever drawn up. I looked for some examples in the past, and I don't know that we've ever really put out or asked for RFPs from people. I think it's just all kind of been word of mouth or small enough jobs that they've been advertised in the paper. So, but I do plan on putting these out to some local contractors. I'd like to, as many as I could find. I just haven't been very successful in finding a lot of general contractors in the area. So if you guys know of anybody, definitely let me know. I know of some in the Greene County area. My dad, I know he'd probably like to bid on it. Well, I told him he could. I don't know how him being my father and things like that, how that'll go over. But I told him he's definitely more than welcome to bid on it. You know, it's, we can cross that road if it's something, if his bid looks, you know, acceptable. So, but yeah, so again, if you guys have any input on the RFP, anything I need to add, want to take out, need to alter, and then also the biggest thing, any general contractors you know of in the area that may be interested in taking on this project, that'd be great. Any questions, comments on any of this? All right, well, what I plan on doing is I'll probably have everything ready to go by our next meeting. I don't know, there'll be a lot of changes from what we already have, but if there are, I can at least present them to you guys and then probably send them out beginning of November and try to have some bids back by the end of December. So January's meeting, we can make a decision or at least take a look at them and hopefully make a decision by then and get this thing ready to roll in the spring. So.
That's good.
All right.
Operations recap.
All right, now the fun part. So I've been kind of doing this for you guys every year. Usually I wait till December or January, but I was pretty excited to show you guys where we were at for revenue this year. And again, we don't have a lot that'll come in December, especially for camping. We will probably have some more cabins and shelters that'll kind of trickle through here over the next couple months. But let me go ahead and screen share this stuff with you. So first I'll go through the golf numbers. I've got those broken down kind of like I did last year, as far as the golf numbers by date, golf numbers by daily transaction and things like that. All right. You guys see that?
Yep.
Yep.
Right. Okay, so I'll just kind of walk you guys through this. So again, the last year was the first year that I did this as far as breaking everything down as far as golf goes. But it's pretty neat because you can see the comparisons from where we were at from last year. So let's see. 2020, or do I? Hold on a second. I thought I had a comparison here.
You in one of the documents, because I remember looking at it.
Oh, I think it's this one. That's the one I'm looking for. There we go.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'll just hop back to this one first, and then I'll come over and compare. Just so you guys can see, like I said, I've got all these broken down by our daily transaction, 9-hole with cart, all day with cart, 9-hole walking, Wednesday special, all day walking, tournament fee, and cart rental 9-hole. And you can kind of see monthly trends. Of course, this makes sense with monthly trends just because our season starts in April, a little chilly as you get a little bit more as it gets warmer. In July, usually we peak, and then things kind of start tapering off towards the end of the month. So obviously our best deal is our 9-hole with a cart, which of course we have the most transactions for, and then followed by our Wednesday specials, which is next. The one I was kind of surprised by, I guess, is our next most popular would be 9-hole walking. We've had a lot more people this year walking than we have in the past, which is fantastic. Of course, we'd rather people out there be walking than driving around on the cart and not getting their exercise. So that was something I kind of noticed throughout the year. So I was pretty excited to get all the data and put it all together and see if that was, held true, that we did have a lot more folks that were walking this year than in previous years. And of course, our Wednesday special, very popular. So then next thing I did was broke it down by weekday. And this just kind of gives us an idea of what's our busiest day, where do we maybe need to think about maybe altering fees and things like that, or making some other adjustments to try to get more folks out. Same holds true, which is typical. Mondays used to be our worst day. Now Tuesdays are, for whatever reason, and I don't know if that just is because of league. We do have men's league on Tuesday night, which again, not a bad thing. It's just I think a lot of people don't come out when they know leagues are going on. I know same for, goes for a lot of different sports. When they do have league nights, of course, they're not going to sell a lot of other stuff because they're busy with leagues. So Mondays, we had 435 daily totals, or total daily golf transaction. Tuesdays, we had 386, so a little bit less. Of course, Wednesdays were our biggest days. We had 1,530 transactions on Wednesday for a Wednesday special. Thursdays, again, obviously they kind of dip down, and then back to the weekends, they really pick up on Friday, Saturday, of course, especially on Saturday and then Sunday. So, but yeah, we had 7,118 total dailies this year. So remember that number when we get to the next slide. 2020 season pass sales. This year I noticed, and again, I'll kind of show you this on the next slide, we sold less single passes, but more family passes this year. So I would guess that would kind of mean that a lot of the folks that bought family passes possibly last year came back and getting their family involved this year. So not only good for revenue, but good for getting more people out enjoying the golf course. So, all right, now I'll hop over to our 2020 or 2019 and 2020 comparison. So if you'll remember last year, we did have a really good year for golf, actually, and I'll kind of show you guys that with our chart for the total revenue. Had a really great last year, had a really, really good year this year. So daily golf transactions went up from 3,984 up to 7,118, almost over 3,000 more dailies this year than we had last year. So that tells you how busy the golf course was this year compared to years past. Again, good year last year. The year before that was our previous best year. This year blew that out of the water. Daily golf transactions by weekday, pretty much the same trends here. Of course, numbers are higher. And again, Mondays and Tuesdays are our two worst days. Things kind of obviously go way back up on Wednesdays, taper off on Thursdays. But you can kind of see even our Thursday, how big of the numbers increased on our Thursdays from 300 to 717. Fridays also, Saturdays also, and Sundays also. So huge numbers Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, an increase. About 400 higher for our Wednesday totals, which is also a pretty good increase. But you can see the Thursdays, Friday, Saturday, and Sundays doubled, if not almost doubled, for daily golf transactions for those days. Again, season pass sales, like I told you guys, last year we had a lot more single passes sold, and this year we've had a lot more family passes sold. Singles wasn't really off by that much. We had 65 sold last year and 60 sold this year, but we had 48 families sold last year where we had 61 this year. The junior golf passes, we only had one of those this year. And again, I think a lot of those folks, the juniors obviously golf with their family, and then without having school golf this year, I think some of those kids decided not to get golf passes. So yeah, great numbers on the golf side. So anybody have any questions, comments on golf?
Mhm.
When was the last day of golf?
October 15th was when the clubhouse closed. But we still allow people to come out. We've got a $10 walking box, honor box that we have out on the course. And we've actually, people are using it because I checked it. I think we checked it in the end of August. We had a ton from the, pretty much from the start of golf until then. And then we had from August until when I checked it, I think it was the week after the 15th. Or no, it would have been just this last week because I put in an end of the month deposit for that. And yeah, we had, I can't remember exactly, but we had probably $200-300 in there, $400 in there. So folks are using it.
Does that mean if the weather's good, you can just go golfing and just put it in the box?
Yep. The only thing is we don't have the carts available. And that may be something too.
Anyway.
What's that?
You're supposed to walk anyway. Get your
right, exactly. Well, that's something too, and I don't know. We need to make that decision at this meeting, but as far as our carts go, and of course, this is going to cost a little bit more. Usually beginning of April is pretty good, but these last few years, I mean, look at it. We've had 70 degrees into November. I don't know how. I haven't looked at the stats for the last few years for weather, but do we need to maybe think about closing a couple weeks later, keeping the carts available? Because I mean, we still had, you can kind of see in October of this year, we had 417 transactions in October, and that's 15 days. So I don't know, is that something we need to think about? Maybe stay open through the end of October. But again, we'd have to keep our carts for that much longer, and I don't know what the price increase would be for that. But again, with these days getting nicer,
half of the carts for longer.
Half of them, I don't know, and that may be something we could work out with the folks that we rent our carts from. But every year I just keep thinking that, like, gosh, man, I think if we could even stay open through the end of October, we might benefit as far as revenue goes from that. And again, it's not like, we're doing anything different. Usually we don't winterize until first part of November anyway. So as far as blowing all the irrigation and things out. So maybe something we need to think about. Of course, we'd have to talk to the concessionaire and see if they'd be willing to do something like that. I know by October 15th every year, you can see it on their face. They're ready to be done for the year. So, but again, more revenue for us means more revenue for them. So folks are still buying beer and food and stuff. So all right. So any more questions on golf right away?
Nope.
Okay. Well, let me pull up our revenue. So here's our revenue today. Again, this is just through the month of October. We still have November and December left. We'll still get a little bit of camping. We'll still get some golf self-registration, and then cabins and shelters. Of course, we'll get some for that too. So, all right. Hold on one second. I just want to try to zoom in here a little bit so we're not all squinting. All right. Can you guys see that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So I'll just start from left to right here. So we've got our camping revenue. So we've been doing this. I've been doing this every year. And I think Andy's been doing it since about 2010, just to kind of give you guys an idea of where we are as far as camping and revenue goes for those types of things. So last year, again, you'll see a big dip here. We had a horrible year for camping last year. And I think a lot of that had to do with the weather, and then some setbacks we had with upgrades in the campgrounds and things like that. So for Don Williams, you can kind of see our best year was 2017, where we had 165,000 in revenue. This year We about hit that. We were 10,000 less, and we weren't open at all in the month of February or April and most of the month of May. So if you can kind of see what COVID did, it got people outside. It got people outside recreating. Not that we already don't all know that, but this just kind of goes to show without, a month and a half of our normal revenue that we would get in April and part of May, we're still only $10,000 short of our highest year, our best year ever. Swede Point, I don't really know how to explain this one, but we'll still have some more camping here over the next couple months down there, but till things really start taking a turn for the weather. I think the one thing that I did notice this year is we have a lot more tent campers at Swede Point. I think the regular camping may be about the same, if not, but we do definitely have a lot more tent camping, and I can attribute that to probably the trail, the folks that come in and visit the trail that are staying over. Typically, I guess I'm thinking a lot of those people aren't big, RV campers. They probably just haul their bikes and their tents and they come and stay that way. So, but yeah, as you can see, Don William camping is way up from where it was last year. Again, beat our third greatest year in 2018. 2016 and 17 were still our best. But again, year's not over. So golf revenue, that probably speaks for itself from what I just presented on. Best year that we've ever had for golf was 2010, at least recorded anyway, that I was able to find. And we blew that out of water. Again, we got 131,000 in revenue. Our best year was that year in 2010, and that had just under 104,000. 2 years ago, we had 100,000. But again, this year just blew that all out of the water. So we like to see that. This one was I was kind of expecting this one. Shelter revenue definitely took a little bit of a hit this year. Not a ton, a little bit though. Again, I think you can attribute that to COVID. A lot more people were wanting to get outside, have more space outside rather than being cooped up inside. Again, not to say that people still didn't use it. We still had a really good year. Again, 2017 was our best year, I think, all around as far as our revenue or our revenue for different things. But as you'll see in the next, or I guess that'll be the last one. So yeah, shelter revenue was a little bit down, but again, we're still not done. We still got a couple months left, and I know a lot of folks usually November, December, and now since we're online, they'll start reserving those things for next season. So those numbers could come up. Cabin revenue, again, up about 10,000 from last year, which was our best year. I guess 2012 looks like it was our best year, but you can kind of see the trend from 2018 through this year since we went online through mycountyparks.com, where our numbers have gone for cabins. So again, this year just blew those out of the water, even with everything that's again, everything that we had, we weren't able to be open in March or in April, part of March or part of May. And we didn't know if this was going to, if COVID was going to scare folks off as far as cabins go, but no, we've just been crazy busy this year. And I think what I may try to do, I'm not making any promises. I'd like to go through and break down our cabins too. And kind of like I have been with golf, just to see where we are, on the different days. Of course, weekends are always going to be the most popular. But then all three cabins too, just to kind of see what's getting rented more, for what time, how long a time periods are people renting them for? Is it 3 days, 2 days, 5 days? So I may try to go down and break that up and see where we're at there. So we get into total revenue. And again, this is not fiscal year. This is all calendar year, but it's a better indication of, things from the year than it would be by fiscal year, which ends in the end of June. So, but as far as total revenue on a calendar year, we blew everything out of the water again. So that's great. That's fantastic. Again, camping wasn't, oh shoot. Are you guys still there?
Yeah.
I don't know what I did.
Yep.
Okay. There. My screen went away. But nope. again, this year compared to years in the past, 2018 was our best year with 332,000. We exceeded that by 40,000 this year, and we still got the months of November and December left. So that's huge for the conservation board, huge for conservation period across the state. I know I'm sure they're going to be IACCB is probably going to be asking for some numbers here soon as far as usage and things like that. So it'll be pretty exciting once we start seeing statewide numbers come up and where we're at with those, because it just, again, goes to show, when these things happen and folks are cooped up, they want to get outside and utilize the things the county and state and federal government have for these people to get outside and enjoy. So any questions on any of that?
It would be interesting to know, like, where the majority of these people are coming from that are, I mean, do you think they're mainly within the county, or do you think you have?
I'll be able to find that out. We had a couple years ago, our campground hosts, Robin and Henry and Verity, or Henry, he's a whiz with Excel and things like that. And we started tracking all of our campground registrations at Swede Point and Don Williams. And I don't know how far he got with it this year, but he put in there's a way we can track to see what county they're coming from and then what state they're coming from. I don't think we really need to get into country, but I know that's on there. That's an option on there. But I'm pretty excited to see where a lot of these folks are coming from. Myself, I know Swede Point, I did for one of our grants that we submitted. I went back and I counted all of the campground registrations from July 1st of last year through July 1st of this year, just to see where more people are coming from. And I was pretty surprised to find out, and I may have shared this with you guys already, but we had over 100 visitors from 25 different states in the year's time. That's just Swede Point too. So, and again, counties, I didn't even look at that. Don Williams, I know a couple of years ago, I went through some slips. This was before Henry put this program together, which is why he put it together. So it make my life easier trying to compile all the data. But I just went through, and a lot of the folks that stayed at Don Williams were going to be folks from Hamilton, Webster, Greene, Polk, Story, Boone, a lot of the surrounding counties. But it will be interesting to see how many folks come from outside of the county, outside of the state. Just in me, when I'm processing these things, I have seen a lot of different counties, that aren't bordering counties this year. So that'll be interesting to see where we stand with that too.
Yeah, hopefully they'll return.
Yep, absolutely. I've a lot of good comments this year. A lot of folks, stopping and telling us, "Hey, park looks great." Commenting on the things we've done with the campground. I was kind of worried about that. You never know when you go through and you do big upgrades and change a lot of things, how receptive people are to things, and had nothing but, I guess, a few negative comments, if you want to call them negative, but they're, for 99% of them were very good. So
Good.
It's what we like to hear. Yep. All right. Well, yeah, like I said, I'll probably, in January, once we get close to budget time, I'll have a lot of this stuff updated. So when we go to present to the supervisors, it'll all be current information, and it'll be interesting to see how much more our revenue goes up with cabins and shelters, and then still whatever little camping we have left for the season. So
How often are the cabins totally filled up?
Typically it's weekends. Typically every weekend, all three are filled up, usually from April through end of October, which held true again this year. During the week, there was a lot of openings. Typically this year, we've had, I can't really tell you as far as all three of them filled up, but I think we had 3 days from the end of May through, the end of September where we didn't have somebody in at least one of the cabins. So we had somebody in at least one of the 3 cabins all year long, except for like 3 days. That was this year. But again, years previous, usually weekends, every weekend's full, all 3, kind of hit or miss throughout the week. But again, this year, I think especially to start off when folks were out of work due to COVID. We had a lot more folks staying during the week, but it held true most of the summer, I think. Again, folks were just, I think folks were, you know, they were taking vacations, but they weren't taking, obviously they couldn't go very far. So they had to deal with what they had. And I think a lot of people were staying closer. But again, I look on there too, and I look at, you know, I log each one of these reservations that are made into our calendar, and a lot of people from out of state this year. So it's a good sign.
But it still makes the case that we could use another cabin or two, though.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, this year, especially if we had 10 cabins out there, every weekend, every one of them would have been full, guaranteed. If you get online, even right now, we were throwing around the idea of going up to Minnesota and doing some fishing here in the month of September. Well, we started looking, we couldn't find anything out of state. So we're like, there's got to be something in Iowa. I got on my county parks. You couldn't find anything on any county, any state park. There was just nothing. Everybody had them all reserved. So, no, I think, we definitely need to start budgeting and thinking about what we want to do, because I think we could definitely get by with at least one. And like I said, I think if we do go, if and when we do decide to build a cabin, we need to go bigger. A lot of these people, a lot of the other counties, good example I always bring up is Hamilton County.
Yes.
The newer cabins that they built, they're all, 10 plus, 14 plus people capacity, and they sell those out. Brian told me they sell those out night and day more than they do the smaller cabins. So, and this time too, we need to build it. we want to build it on a pad. That way all the utilities can be in the interior, so we can keep it open year round. That's the struggle we dealt with for years with the cabins we have now, was trying to keep things thawed out, during the winter months when we didn't have a lot of people renting them. But if we had something, we didn't have to worry about the maintenance of thawing lines out, worrying about lines breaking, fixing lines that are broken, and things like that. I think we can leave it open, minimal maintenance. All you're paying for is heat, and I think people will rent them.
Okay.
All right. Well, yeah, that was fun. I was excited to show you guys that. So
I like reports like that.
Sorry, I'm a data nerd when it comes to that type of stuff.
Oh, I love
It's
what.
better than what we thought it would be in March and April.
Say that again, Greg.
It's a lot better than what we were thinking in March and April.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's for sure. I was worried about this year, and I'm not really as far as revenue goes, the derecho didn't help as far as our expenses go, but I think we'll be all right. So
Wonderful.
cool. Well, that is all I have for you this month on that. So
It's like open discussion.
all right, just a few things for open discussion. I've been the supervisors asked me at the last meeting if I'd heard anything more on the drainage issue up off Violent Lane. You guys remember it'd be the Doug Carlson
Yes.
farm.
Mhm.
They a little bit more with that. They did have a gentleman from Bolton and Mank Engineering go out and met with the county engineer. I think he met with Chad Bain out there too. I don't know if I was invited. They were probably afraid I'd open my mouth. I don't know. But anyway, I talked with Scott following their meeting as far as what needs to be done there. Again, they have not approached the conservation board as far as the board to get on the agenda to discuss any of this. I know I've sent a couple invites for them to do that. And I know Chad had told them at this last meeting that it's the conservation board who's in charge of this. They're the ones that need to make the decision. So I just actually got an email from the gentleman from Bolton and Mank. I think he sent it out to all the folks that were involved in the meeting. Let me check here real quick. And this is what he said. So Board of Supervisors, an on-site meeting was held on Friday, November 6th in regard to Doug Carlson drainage issue along the bike path east of Madrid. In attendance was Chad Bain, Scott Cruz, Kent Road, along with Doug Carlson and his spouse. In discussions with the Carlsons, it seems the surface flows from the north of the trail are at times flowing across the trail, causing safety concerns for the bicycles utilizing the trail. That was before we unplugged the tiles that Andy had decided to plug, I think, in cooperation with the Carlsons, which we don't have that issue anymore, which is why they have a drainage issue. Again, there's a lot. There's a small and shallow ditch currently on the north side of the trail that has become overgrown with trees and heavily silted in. The ditch cannot carry the surface drainage as much as needed to maintain the drainage on the north side of the trail. It would seem a simple maintenance of tree and brush removal along the ditch with a clean out of the ditch along the north side of the trail would resolve the concerns of the Carlsons as well as provide a much safer experience for bicyclists. Please let me know if you have any questions or can be any further assistance. Again, we can certainly go that route. I don't think that's going to solve the issue. I've showed you guys the maps. I've showed county engineer the maps. I've showed the board of supervisors the maps that date back. You can look at aerials from 100 years ago and see that drainage has always been that way.
I would agree with that.
And I've gave them my recommendations. I've told them, I just, without going in there and doing some major engineering on that north side, which would get into his property, I just don't think you're going to resolve this issue. We've let them know, that they had recommended clearing the ditch and then running a tile underneath that ditch to try to alleviate some of the water. I think the folks from Bolton and Mank and the county engineers have shot that down. That's not going to help either. So yeah, I'm kind of, again, I like I told Scott, I gave my opinion. I'm not an engineer. I'm not, a hydrologist by any means, but from what I do know, just looking at it, I don't know if what they recommend is going to fix the problem. I don't think it's going to. Again, we can certainly try it, but how long and how far do we need to go to address this issue? When again, I think this issue's been on this farmstead for a lot longer than they say it has. But again, I don't want to. I want to be neighborly. I want to try to help out. But another thing, I don't want to do this and then set a precedent for the rest of the trail for other landowners that think they can just say, well, no, trail's here now. I've got drainage issues. It's your fault. That's the biggest thing I worry about is, again, setting that precedent for other landowners along the trail. Again, not that we don't want to help people out. It's just that when these issues, to me, and the folks, you guys agreed when we looked at it, that drainage has been like that for a very long time. And it's not anything that was done when the trail was put in. It was that way when UP was there. It was that way before UP was there. So I'll meet with the supervisors again, see what they want to do. I don't want to get any legal trouble, or have them come after the county for this. But again, I just don't know with what they propose us doing or Bolton and Mank propose us doing is going to solve the problem. So,
well, one thing that I've always been told, you're talking about digging a ditch and all that stuff, and true or not, I don't know, but I've always been told that legally you cannot divert the natural flow of water.
Right.
Which is what you're doing when you dig a ditch.
Yes.
And
exactly.
I know it's done all the time, but in this case, you can hold to it and say, the water just flows from up there down to here. If you want your field to dry out faster, call Junior Ubben up to Stratford and have him tile it out. He's always down around there anyway.
Right. And that's the thing. And the more people I talk to, and Chad said it too, he goes, have they tiled it? And apparently the guy said they just tiled it not that long ago. But I'm thinking,
did he
still have
tile it?
He's had it. I don't know who tiled it. I don't know who did it. But yeah, it just kind of seems funny to me that, most of the people that I talked to said if, the tiling, whoever did the tiling, that should have taken care of the problem. But apparently it's not. So it falls on us again for some reason. But
Well, my guess is it worked pretty good this year.
Yeah. I don't think we had any problems this year.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I want to help out any way we can, without us having to bend over backwards to do that. Another thing that I mentioned was, okay, we go through and we start clearing these ditches. What's in these ditches? Are these trees, mature trees that have been there for 50, 60 years that, is it a lot of little stuff? Just for me being out there, I know it's a lot of little stuff. It's something I think that we could do, but again, I don't, how big, and like I was talking with the engineer, when I was talking with Scott, what's the watershed like for this area? How much water is shedding into this drainage ditch? How deep are we going to have to dig this ditch to alleviate their problems on the north side? So again, I have a hard time, moving forward with doing something, because like I said, where does it end? If this doesn't fix the problem, where does it end? How far do we have to keep going? How much money does the county have to spend to try to figure out what the problem is, when we all know what the problem is? It's called Mother Nature. And she's not going to get any nicer to us. And what's there is there. It's been there for at least 100 years we know of. So.
Do you know if there have been any other examples of this type of thing happening along other portions of the trail in other counties?
I don't. I can ask around, and it wouldn't hurt probably to ask Polk County. I know they manage a ton of trails, but I mean, I know Polk County Conservation. Like I said, I work there, and I know they don't. If this were them, they would say no way.
Well, that's what I mean. Why would we set the precedent? If other
right, and that's the precedent I really don't want to set, because if we do that, we're going to have I hope not every property owner up and down that had an agreement with UP as far as drainage along that trail. We're going to be doing it for every one of them.
I mean, when you start talking about tiling and farmland in Iowa, it's unending. It could be going on the trail forever if they get going on.
Right. So.
And I still have the pictures on the computer when I looked at it. And if the guy on the north side, what I think is the north side of the trail, if he had water issues, then he had water issues on his side. So
it's the same guy.
Oh, it's the same guy?
Yeah, he owns the north and south side. So it's his water.
So he needs to tile the north side then, so there isn't as much water running underneath the thing.
That would make sense to me.
Yeah, because that's what the problem is. Because I noticed on my 80, when I pattern tiled that, the pond is not as big now.
Right.
So it's.
Yeah, like I said, there's quite a few things in here where and if you look back at the deed to the property, there is some language in there that talks about UP or whoever the owner is maintaining that ditch. And again, I have no problem with that. We can go out there, we can do some cutting and do some clearing in the ditch area and dig it out a little bit. But I'm not going to go above and beyond anything that UP ever did, because again, we start where does it end? Because I guarantee, I can almost guarantee with what they recommend doing is not going to stop the problem. So then we're back to square one, and then we're back to more money and more time, and again, setting a precedent that we probably don't want to set.
So is that what I'm going to call the ditch where the trees are? Is that our property or his property?
That would be ours. The ditch and all of the drainage lies on ours. Let me hop on here.
I just think it's a problem with the year. If it's a wet year, he has problems.
Right.
That's about like 25% of the ground in Iowa.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's our soils too. It's they don't drain well. That's why we have to tile. It's just. But I don't know. And again, like I said, I'm not out there to say that he's trying to take advantage by any means at all. But I just find it a little, I don't know, a little suspicious when, you know, we do have a wet year and there's problems. There's not. Again, you look back 100 years, you can see the aerial maps. That same drainage has been there since 100 years ago. So I just have, and like you said, Greg, you know, the flow of things, we don't want to restrict that. I'm not going to get into that, go down that road. And that was one thing I told Scott too. I said, if there's a lot of mature oak trees down in that drainage, I'm not cutting them down. That goes against everything our mission stands for. I'm not going to do that. And if they're, you know, 60, 70-year-old oak trees, or whether they be cottonwoods, whatever, they were there a lot longer, you know, than that ditch was there in some cases. I guess I don't know how long UP was there, but yeah, and that's kind of what I told them. I said, if there's anything of environmental concern there, you know, any trees, I'm not cutting them down. So, but I'll talk with the supervisors next week, kind of see what they think, and I'll tell them again. I have no problem, you know, expressing my opinion on this, which may be why they didn't want me there the other day, but I don't feel we want to go down this road. Said I don't have a problem cleaning the ditch out a little bit, digging it out here in a few places, but I think that's probably about as far as we need to go with this.
Well, our rainfall has also increased.
Oh yeah, and I think it will. It's going to continue. You know.
So I mean, and we can't control that. So
no, I was actually kind of surprised. I hadn't heard anything about it for months, and then the supervisors asked me here last week if I'd heard anything. I said no. The last I'd heard was you guys were going to take care of any of the legal side of things if need be, and you'd keep me updated. And then again, I knew that they were having this meeting, and that's all that I knew. So, but other than that, again, just got things winterized here a couple weeks ago. Got all the campgrounds ready to go for the winter. All of our different facility shelters and things like that. Been getting some projects done here before winter time. Plan on getting all of our disc golf baskets, at least for the holes that we have ready. Hopefully we're going to get those in here before this fall, working with the designer a little bit on that. He doesn't think we need to go ahead with the pads until we're pretty dead set on where those, you know, once we get the pin set, players can kind of come out, give feedback and things like that, to where we have things set now. If they need to be moved, we have that flexibility later. So going to be working on that. Said probably some more derecho cleanup stuff. And yeah, I'm be doing FEMA stuff here for probably the net. Hopefully I can get that whipped out by the end of the week, maybe next week, so we can get away from that and start moving on with some other things. So anybody have any questions, comments on anything?
Sounds good.
Should I make a motion to adjourn then?
You may.
All right.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.